I read this story on Yahoo News, and I would find it so funny if it didn't also involve mass devastation and loss of life and wreckage of life of many citizens. Florida Republican demands hurricane aid she tried to block. Republican Representative Anna Paulina Luna demanded more FEMA funding for Florida just weeks after she voted against a bill that provided $20 billion for federal emergency funds. As Hurricane Milton approaches the Florida coastline, this was written before Milton made landfall, Luna has waded into a growing spat between Vice President Kamala Harris and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. We have a Category 5 hurricane headed right to Pinellas, and Kamala Harris is taking this time to attack Governor Ron DeSantis, Luna wrote Monday in a post on Twitter. Cut the crap. We need FEMA dollars freed up. All assets stop attacking Ron DeSantis and do your job. This is the classic Republican tactic of not giving a single shit about your constituency, then passing the blame onto the Democrats, hoping your voters will be none the wiser. Kamala Harris reached out to Ron DeSantis about storm recovery following Hurricane Helene, which in Florida alone caused $21 billion worth of damages. DeSantis ignored her calls because, according to one of his aides, her calls seemed political, quote-unquote, which is one of the most asinine things I have ever heard. Hurricane Helene, at its strongest, was a Category 4. It left in its wake major infrastructure damage. Homes were destroyed, streets were flooded, people in the areas that were impacted the most have had their lives flipped completely upside down, and then you have Milton just 2 weeks later causing even more destruction in your state, and you want to use this time to own the libs? Any governor worth a fuck would put aside the partisan bullshit for just 2 seconds and be like, okay, my state just faced 2 natural disasters almost consecutively, both of which were dubbed once-in-a-lifetime hurricanes. We were just reeling from the effects of the first hurricane, now we have an even stronger one coming our way. Maybe I should be open to more assistance, but no, sticking it to the Democrats is more important than the lives and safety of the citizens that live in the state that you fucking govern. And I love how DeSantis refuses to talk to her because she's clearly motivated by political reasons to reach out to me, which maybe is true. I have no doubt the thought floated in her mind that it would probably help her campaign to extend an olive branch to a political opponent in the wake of a natural disaster that occurred in their state. However, I really don't care in instances where the lives of many citizens are pretty much wrecked, especially if they lived in areas that were hit the hardest by these hurricanes. And what do you call the action of refusing to speak to your opposition about storm relief in the wake of one natural disaster occurring in your state and another even stronger natural disaster being imminent besides political? Because I guarantee if we lived in an alternate reality where Trump got his second term and wanted to provide additional FEMA funding for these states that were just hit by 2 powerful hurricanes consecutively, DeSantis would have taken it in a heartbeat, and you wouldn't have all these Republicans in Congress killing additional funding for FEMA. You had Republican ghoul Mike Johnson literally say, no, I won't bring the House back to vote on additional hurricane relief funding until after the election. I wonder why. Because he knows that if he and all of these other Republicans in the House who killed additional hurricane relief were in favor of it instead, it would look good for the Democrats who are pushing this issue, more specifically Biden and Harris. Because they can't let them take credit for something that would be overwhelmingly good just weeks out from the election. Meanwhile, they'll turn around and say Biden and Kamala haven't been doing nearly enough to help those impacted by Helene and Milton. And so much of the voter base in this country is so fucking stupid that they won't sit and think logically for a second and realize, well, there's not much more the Biden administration can do for these people without the Republicans fucking bottlenecking them. But this is what takes precedence to Republicans, blocking anything good from the opposition to help increase the chances of their guy getting put back in office. And if people have to die or have their homes wiped out after a hurricane and left to fend for themselves, so be it. They can just pass the blame onto the Democrats for that. And ultimately, Republican politicians, especially those in Florida, are reaping exactly what they sow. Just earlier this year, DeSantis passed legislation that erases any mention of climate change from state law. Instead of having a discussion in this country finally about how all of the fossil fuels we dump into the ocean contributes to the ocean getting warmer, thus strengthening these hurricanes. No, shh, let's not talk about that. Let's close our eyes and pretend it doesn't exist. These 2 super strong back-to-back previously considered once-in-a-lifetime hurricanes, no, that's just a normal part of hurricane season. You may want to avoid talking about climate change, but one thing thing you can't avoid is the ramifications of climate change. Get ready for more natural disasters of this magnitude happening more frequently because our planet's climate has to take a back seat to multi-billion-dollar corporations and CEOs raking in even more money. And so many of our spineless fucking politicians in this country are in the pockets of these corporations and people. But let's not talk about that and instead make up the most stupid conspiracy theories about how the Democrats supposedly have a weather machine that can create these hurricanes, and they can also dictate the path they take. Yeah, is that why Milton plowed through Tampa and Orlando, two of the most blue areas in Florida? To all of you Anna Kasparian types, the enlightened centrists who are all about reaching across the aisle, how the fuck do you talk to these people who are so detached from reality that they actually think the Democrats can control the weather? But I digress. This country isn't just fucked because of the ramifications of climate change, but also because of all of the idiots that inhabit this country. And some of those idiots are in Congress. How lovely. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.